Well, hello. Oh, this has been a long time coming. I am I am an entrepreneur. I am the part owner of the Knovl Company, which is a four-part company dealing with communications, it deals with construction, and it deals with commuting, and it also deals with other concerns. We began this company not too long ago. Well, it seems not too long ago, actually, but no, it's actually 4 years ago. And we had some pretty precarious reasons why we started the company, and you may identify with it. So I just want to share it with you. My company started because I basically got tired of being laid off. For the first 15 years of my career, oh man, I was a young buck. I was learning a lot. I was moving up. I was going back to school. I was earning a good keep. I was being successful. And then around age 40 ish, um, things started to go south. I started to get to a level, a rank, and an amount of pay where every 2 or 3 years it felt like I was getting laid off. And it was very, oh man, I remember the first time. I mean, it was debilitating. I sat right here in this office and I wept, and my wife had to come and console me because I had so much trapped inside of that job. Sounds familiar? So the job was being a Lean Six Sigma black belt, and that meant that I could go into a plan and make suggestions and work their operators and their managers through different tools such that they can operate better. And I was damn good at it, and I still am. What began to happen in this particular field, this field of process improvement, it's also called Lean Six Sigma, it's also called efficiency, it's also called operations excellence. No matter what it's called, it seems to have a shelf life of about 3 to 4 years. And then some regime comes in and they're almost the first to go. And invariably this regime comes in and they would put over me some asshole that didn't know anything about the field. Maybe that was strategic. I don't know, but it was darn frustrating to amass this much experience and to be doing this much good in the world. And we did. We affected so much good change and safety and efficiency and saving millions and millions of dollars all around the world. My teams did a wonderful job, but this seemed to not matter after 3 or 4 years. Regime change, boss that didn't know his butthole from a hole in the ground, and then me and others would be laid off. Hmm. So the last time this happened, oh man, it was terrible, y'all. I mean, I was hired in because of my expertise. I was hired in by a good friend and mentor of mine, and oh man, he was a good guy. And he ends up getting laid off after a few years. That's when the writing was on the wall. Right? He ends up getting laid off, and then one of his deputies finagled his way into leadership, and he was a terrible boss. I remember one. I remember one argument I had with the guy. He's a Native American, and his last name sounds Native American. And I, like others, would just call him by his last name. Actually, this was a sign of respect I don't want to say his name because it really doesn't matter. I don't want to give him a lot of energy, but just let's say his last name was Sitting Buffalo. Sitting Buffalo. Now, knowing the atrocities that they have gone through as Native American, or others may call them Indians, and being an African American Black man, there is a kindred, there's a kinship with those who have suffered, especially those who have suffered under the guises of white supremacy. So for me to call him Sitting Buffalo, which was his last name, was actually a sign of respect. And do you know, we actually had a phone call where he insisted that I not call him by, don't call me by my last name. This is how ridiculous things get sometimes when you have these terrible leaders like this. I mean, my last name is Young. There is no way I'm going to be offended if someone calls me Young. It's my name. And I know some of you are like, well, maybe it's the way you said it. That's why I gave that prologue. No, I'm not. Even though I had little and little respect for him, I was not disrespectful to his people. So his last name, I almost said it. I almost said his real last name. So his last name, I would not have any antipathy while I was saying that. So why do I share this story? I'm sharing this story with you because I want you to see how something very beautiful can blossom out of something very painful. No one takes a job to be laid off. No one takes a job to be laid off. It doesn't feel good, especially if you're experienced and you've amassed some level of technical expertise and you've amassed some letters behind your name due to education. And then if you're leading a group of people, it's even more embarrassing. But this time, I just couldn't sit down on my laurels. I just couldn't be upset. I wasn't upset. It's almost like God had prepared me. I'd seen it coming. So as things happen, a very good friend of mine and church member, we run a ministry as well. One of our ministry members told me about this field of road construction. And I'll get into all that later, but I just wanted to tell you today that out of that hardship of being laid off came this germ of starting my own business. And I just had to be open to it. I had to be open to something that I could be passionate about and that I could build a legacy. These are my personal whys. So I want to share with you what I call the 3 goods and a should. And I'm going to share these with you every Monday as we walk along the process of starting and maintaining and growing a business. I'm going to be very honest with you along the way. So I'm going to go back to the time when I actually started our business called the Knovl Company. And it was actually started on February 11th, 2021. See it right there. And well, don't worry, we're going to go through all of how you file with the state and how you form. How should you form? Should it be a LLC? Should it be a corporation? We're going to go through all of that. But right now, I want to back up off of that and just start, even before you get to these filing parts. What do you do? What are the first steps that you take? Because these steps, quite frankly, is was preventing many people. If you've never started a business before, you don't know. If you've only worked as a teacher, as an engineer, as a fireman, as anything that is not entrepreneurial, then you don't know where to start. And this is a very troubling feeling, and I want you to get beyond that. So where do you start? First things first, pray. I want you to pray and ask God, what can you reveal to me by way of my passion? What is my passion? What am I passionate about? You may be surprised. What you're passionate about may not be making some widget, or it may be, or in my case, it may have nothing to do with barrels and barricades. It may have everything to do with serving people. How can I establish a company where I can serve people the best? And so then the actual widget or service becomes secondary. So you got to find your passion. You got to find that thing that you're passionate about. You love art, if you love music, you love helping people, it's that thing. And it may not have anything to do with what you're doing today. Be bold in your meditation periods with God. And hey, wait a minute. If you don't believe in God, this is not some holy roller type of program. I'm going to share my faith freely because I'm a Christian and that's what I do. I don't do it to offend anyone who's not a Christian, but I do it from a place of, I know this walk. I know how to pray. I know how to be in relation with God. So I'm going to talk from where I know. I'm not trying to offend you, but like any human being, I'm just going to speak from an area of which I know. I would suspect that if you're a non-believer, I would suspect that you'll have to center yourself some other way. But you're going to have to take a moment and center yourself and figure out, what are you passionate about? I don't know how long that's going to take for you. I cannot prescribe how long that should take. If it's taking longer than a month, that's too long. I can at least give you that. It may take a couple of days. It may take a week or two. If you start getting past a month, though, you're starting to get an analysis paralysis. You should know by then what you're passionate about. It's the first good. The second good is pray on a name. Develop your name. What is the name going to be for your company? Some recommendations: the name should be brief. It should not be more than 2 syllables. Shouldn't be more than 2 syllables. And I'm talking about the name, right? If you got to put LLC behind it or company behind it or corporate, I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about the name itself. For instance, the name of our company is the Knovl Company, but really it's novel, right? That's the name that I prayed about and came to in a very miraculous and visionary way. Because at the very center of who I am is a thirst for knowledge, but not just a thirst for knowledge's sake, a thirst for righteous knowledge. Or in other words, a thirst for knowledge that is veritable. So that's how we came up with the name for Knovl. Knowledge that is veritable. Knovl. The name of your company could just be something as simple as your last name. There's nothing wrong with that. Or it could be, as in the case of Knovl, it could be a combination of a couple of ideas, a couple of thoughts that are important to you. The name of your company could be very centered on what this passion is that you have, right? There's some fantastic names of companies out there that can tell you like instantly what that company is about when you see the name. One name I used to love was Northwest Airlines. It, it's in the Northwest. The logo even pointed to the Northwest. There's two syllables. It engenders a feeling of, it's directional, so it's geographical, so it makes sense for an airline. So just be thinking about that, and if you are a believer, be praying about that. If you're not a believer, be centered around it, meditating around it. Give yourself some time to develop the name of your company. Some other tidbits around the name: it should be unique. It's got to be unique, right? So it can't be, especially in your state. No one else should have the name for the particular field that you're in. So if you're going to start a burger chain and you want to start this burger chain and call it Northwest Burger Chain, then you can certainly take that name because it has nothing to do with the airline. You probably could take that name anyway because Northwest has long been defunct. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that in the area, the specific area of your business, you have to be the only one that has a name that is similar to the one that you choose. More importantly today, it has to be webbable, social mediaable, if you will. So you have to do a check to make sure that this name that you came up with, and you can do an easy check, just Google the name that you came up with. Is there another company that has that name, that has that website? If one of the web-based um, hosting companies comes up, then that just means that they bought the website name. That's okay. Don't be alarmed by that because they bought up a lot of names, and you just got to go through them. You're gonna have to eventually probably go through them anyway. Um, a service like GoDaddy comes to mind. Not trying to look. I don't really care which one you use. GoDaddy's served us well, and that's why that comes to mind. There are others. But once you pick your name, by way of summary, once you pick your name, you know that your name is not shared by another company in your select industry. You know that your name is webbable, and you know that I'm making up these names. You know that it's social mediaable. In other words, you try the social media platform. Does someone else have the name that you're using on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn? And depending on your field, you're gonna have to have the right social media. We'll talk about that next. But now you just need to know is it webbable? Is it social mediaable? Just those are some big checks that you're gonna have to have. By way of review, first I said pray, figure out your passion. Second, I said figure out the name. Third, and it's very important. Maybe I should have put it first, but third, you're going to have to think about how much funding is going to be required for your chosen business. Costs, and what is the expected revenue? So that goes into the should. If I were starting my business all over again, what would I do to make my business more successful? I would visit area chambers. And notice I said visit. I'm not saying join. You don't have to spend a dime to go sit in on a chamber meeting. They'll love to have you. It's part of every chamber's charter. Just go to the meeting and experience it. Experience other entrepreneurs. Talk to the other entrepreneurs in the field that you're looking forward to and ask them direct questions. I don't, I'm just going to be really direct. I'm thinking about getting into this field. What are the costs associated with startup, and how much by way of revenue can I expect to get in year 1, 2, 3? What are some of the pitfalls that have caused you angst? But please tell me also what are three things that you love about what you're doing? So basically, what you're doing to them, you're getting the three goods and the should from them. I started with the should first. Forgive me. I am an engineer, and we just look at the world differently. We unfortunately we tend to look at the problem first, and then I went into the world, as I said, of a of being a lean expert. And again, we look at the problem first. So I had to learn. Let's put the positivity first. So say that again. Ask them about the three passions, about the three things that they're passionate about their business, and then go into the shoulds, the things that they wish they had done, or the things that they would have you avoid. If you do this, you'll be off to a fantastic start with your business. If you need further help, deeper help, feel free to give me a call and work something together. I'll work with you one-on-one, at least for an hour. I'll just do it gratis because I just want you to be successful. And then beyond that, we'll develop some payment plans, something like that. But I'm not. I hope you can hear my voice. This is not about a money grab. This is about passion. We need more entrepreneurs out there, and I'm going to boldly say it. I know what's going on in today's politics. We need more Black entrepreneurs. We need more Black entrepreneurs. With all of what's going on with this DEI, and I suspect there's going to be a lot of layoffs, DEI related layoffs, diversity and inclusion related layoffs, because President Trump is on a moratorium against DEI. It is what it is. At some point, we can complain and complain and complain, but this is what's coming down, and we need to adjust to it. So, Black people, this thing is aimed right at you. So what can we do? This is why I'm so passionate about it. We can start our own businesses, and it's going to be tough. There's a toughness about it. It's not easy, and it doesn't look like the business that you're in now. You're not going to be catching an elevator to the fourth floor of your business that you just started. It may be in an office like this. You may start it in the garage. You may start it in a shed out back. You are going to have to get comfortable with how things start. How do you get comfortable with how things start? I just told you the three goods and a should. Pray, figure out your passion. Pray, figure out the name. Pray, figure out the three goods and a should as it relates to the finances of your business. What are some revenue points? What are some good points? And then what are some hard rocks? What are some things that you should look out for? And what are some costs associated with startup? When you do this, I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you for even thinking about it. And I'll be even more proud of you when you take these steps that we're talking about. Next time we'll be deep diving the startups. How do you go about forming your business? But for now, I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my story and give you those three goods and a should. So get out there, figure it out. Let's start those businesses. God bless you.